If I was to ask you who is Sanji's final opponent during the final war, you might think of Kuzan, Jupiter, Greenbull, heck, you might even think of Lucky Rou. But what if I told you that you're all wrong? That actually Lafitte is going to take the role to fight Sanji in the final war. Because Lafitte is definitely admiral level, or at the very least Yonko commander level, and that you should not underestimate the demon sheriff himself. And if you stick around till the end of the video, you will fully be on the agenda of Sanji fights Lafitte, because there is no other perfect opponent for Sanji other than Lafitte, and you will see why. Now, let me ask you a question. What is Sanji most known for, especially pre-timeskip? It was his undercover missions, like Mr.Prince, the undercover missions he did during Water 7 Enies lobby. In other words, when it comes to stealth, Sanji is the stealth master. But is he really the only stealth master? What if there's someone better out there? And this is something you definitely overlooked, because I would argue that there is actually someone who has pulled off a way better stealth feat, in fact the best stealth feat in the entire series, that far surpasses anything Sanji has ever done, and has only ever been topped by a top 5 strong character from the old era. Do you remember One Piece chapter 234? This is the most underrated feat in One Piece, I can't stress this enough. But Lafitte was somehow able to sneak into the Holy Land under the nose of Emu and the Gorosei and the Holy Knights, who were all endgame villains, right? And casually, without breaking a sweat, with Conqueror's level confidence, started recommending Blackbeard as Warlord in front of Yonko level Mihawk, Fleet Admiral Sengoku, Doflamingo, who took Gear 4th Luffy to finally beat, and Kuma, who could easily wipe out most characters in pre-timeskip. This goes to show the level of stealth. All of the top tiers could not detect Lafitte. Now that is some insane feat, and guess who is the only character to ever surpass this feat? Rox D. Zebek, when he confronted Emu in the flower room. And yeah, you might argue, well, didn't Sabo do the same thing? But the difference there is, Sabo came with the rest of the revolutionaries, and Emu and the Gorosei were already busy with Cobra. But the difference is that Rox and Lafitte, they came alone and they were undetected. Just look at the amount of characters who tried to pull off the same feat but they failed. Fisher Tiger, he tried, he got caught and was freed by Shanks. Kuma tried and got confronted by Akainu. MF tried and got stopped by Saturn. So yeah, what Lafitte did here was insanely underrated. However, the stealth feats don't end there, because during Marineford, Lafitte infiltrated the control room to actually hypnotize the Marines present there. Without Lafitte, Blackbeard would have never gotten his level 6 crew members, he would have never gotten Whitebeard's Devil Fruit, and none of that is happening. Lafitte basically carried the crew there. What Lafitte did during Marineford is basically the Blackbeard version of Mr. Prince. And also, did you notice Mihawk's reaction? He looks confused, almost worried, speechless. This is Zoro's final opponent, Yonko level Mihawk, impressed by this underrated no-name character. Now let me ask you another question. What is Sanji's other specialty? That's right, speed. My favourite example of a Sanji speed feat is when he dodged Katakuri's jelly bean at the very last minute, despite Katakuri using future sight. But if you look back to chapter 440, you will see that Lafitte also has a very overlooked but very impressive speed feat as well. And legit, Lafitte looks better than everyone else here, including his own captain. Lafitte is the only character quick enough to dodge Ace's attack, whilst Blackbeard and the rest are actually hit by the attack. But Sanji and Lafitte are not only similar in abilities, but they are also similar in personality, because they are both extremely loyal. Now, for a crew like the Blackbeard Pirates, where everyone is in it for their own selfish agendas, Lafitte is actually the odd one out of the crew, because he is overly loyal to Blackbeard, to the point where he actually threatened to kill Alvaro Pizarro for suggesting that he take over as captain, or feeling the need to remind Burgess to call Blackbeard Commodore or Admiral and not Captain. And Sanji's loyalty really needs no explanation. I mean, he was ready to sacrifice his entire life for Luffy during Thriller Bark, before the nothing happened moment with Zoro. So even in terms of their dynamic with their captains, Sanji and Lafitte are a one-to-one comparison. The same way Zoro and Sanji are Luffy's wings, Lafitte is portrayed as Blackbeard's incredibly loyal right-hand man. And no, Shiryu is not a right hand. since he is not loyal to Blackbeard the same way Zoro is loyal to Luffy. Shiryu is in it for himself. That is the point of the level 6 crewmates. Which now leads me to the final section of this video. Even if you put all of his feats aside, just in terms of narrative and portrayal, Lafitte is given special treatment among the Blackbeard crew. How? You may be wondering. Well, just consider this. We know Luffy fights Blackbeard, right? And Zoro fights Shiryu. But what makes Shiryu so special compared to the rest? Well, Shiryu was actually given a dedicated introduction. He was given build-up. He saved the Blackbeard pirates from Magellan during Impel Down, whilst the other level 6 crew members were not given the same level of introduction, making Shiryu a worthy Zoro opponent, especially since he is a swordsman. But guess who also gets a full dedicated introduction? That's right, Lafitte. During that moment, he pulled a Roxy the Beck moment and infiltrated the Holy Land. So if Zoro, the right wing, gets to fight the other really important dude, then it makes sense that Sanji, the left wing, gets to fight the other really important dude as well, who is Lafitte. On top of all of that, I actually challenge you to find me one panel, just one panel, where Lafitte has actually looked bad. Why am I asking this? Because every other Blackbeard pirate apart from Van Arga has at least once has actually looked bad. Even Yonko Blackbeard himself. Even in front of Admiral level Kuzan, right, he confidently suggests to Blackbeard about taking his devil fruit. And considering the reactions of characters like Mihawk during chapter 234 and being the only one to dodge Ace's attack out of the entire crew, being the only character to infiltrate the Holy Land without getting caught apart from Roxy the Beck himself, don't you get the impression that Lafitte's confidence in front of Kuzan, Admiral level Kuzan, is actually not a bluff, and that he would actually be just fine if they actually fought? I don't know, it does really seem that way. Lafitte was also quickly recognized by Vice Admiral Suru, showing that he has an insane reputation. This is the same Vice Admiral who would non-stop chase Doflamingo, the same way Smoker tried to capture Luffy non-stop. So all in all, Lafitte is really no joke. He has feats comparable to Rocksteady's Beck. He is capable of making Yonko and high-ranking New World characters freeze in sheer amazement and confusion. He's never made to look bad in the story, and is the only character in the crew to never take any damage. He behaves like Sanji with his stealth, he's insanely loyal like Sanji, and by overcoming Lafitte's insane stealth and speed, Sanji will be forced to unlock Advanced Observation Haki and unlock Future Sight in order to counter his speed and his stealth and finally defeat Lafitte. This is how Sanji becomes the complete wing to make Luffy the Pirate King and stop the other wing, Lafitte, from making Blackbeard the Pirate King. But what if I told you that Blackbeard will surpass Joy Boy by the end of the story? If you want to find out how and why, then click on this video over here. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you there.